Okay, we're going to continue on with our sun sky exercise. Before proceeding, make sure you've saved a render from the previous video. The file name that you saved as sun sky exercise, your name.jpg, make sure that's saved first. You rendered that out and saved it before proceeding. Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about the physical sky and the physical renderer. So let's go to our Cinema 4D file. And this is where we left off last time, so you should have rendered out this image, okay, and saved it. Alright, so make sure you got that saved, and let's just go over to our object manager. We have the sun light object, just select it and delete it. The sky object, which we applied the HDRI to, just delete that, okay. And now let's make a physical sky. So the physical sky, you already know this, where the environments are, where the floor object is. And the sky object, choose physical sky this time. And let's just render this out quickly to see what we got here. And you can see how it looks pretty cool already. The shadows are credible, you know, there's an interesting light source. So as you're going through doing your cityscape project, consider using physical sky. So let's talk about the physical sky a little bit more here. So select physical sky in the object manager, and you have these tabs here, sky and sun and details. We're really not going to deal with that. The other ones we will. Basic, we'll get to it later, but we can put clouds in our sky. Coordinates, this is an object which is, you can just move and rotate. Well, you can't really move it, but you can rotate the physical sky object. And the interesting tab is time and location. So click on time and location, and we can set the time of day for this. And you can input the military time here, but I find it's easier just to click this this arrow here at the very end, and you can see the analog clock moves. Now it's at 3 p.m. So 1500 is the numerical time, but this is at 3 p.m. and that's just by clicking this little arrow here, and you can go back in time by clicking this one. Alright, so let me do a quick render here, and you know, not bad. Okay, that's, you know, pretty good. So let's before I talk about clouds and all that other stuff, well, how do I want to do this here? If I want to talk about the physical renderer first or the clouds. Okay, let's add some clouds to the sky. So the way to do that is to go to the basic tab, and you can enable atmosphere, clouds, etc., etc., etc. For this, you can experiment with these other parameters on your own time, but let's just enable clouds only. Okay, and then do just a quick render of this, and you'll see something very annoying happens. We got these beautiful clouds up here, but there's this horizon line. Okay, so the only way we can rotate the sky object downward to adjust our horizon so it looks natural, for one thing, but we got to be mindful when we rotate the sky object, we're rotating the light source as well. Okay, now if you look, just I don't know if you kind of realize this or not, but in the object manager we don't have any light source except the physical sky, okay, which is cool because it makes our life a lot easier. Okay, let's click the physical sky object and choose the rotation tool, or hit the letter R on the keyboard, and let's just rotate it around the Z axis, which is the blue the blue handle here. So anyway, so I'm just going to rotate this down carefully so I can kind of see the clouds are where I want them, and when I render this, it's going to look kind of stupid because the clouds are going to be at an angle, which is going to look dumb. So I got to like rotate this around the x-axis a little bit. And for this exercise, it looks pretty good. It is kind of crooked. I can get extremely inattentive about this and make sure it's exactly straight and everything else, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's physical sky object. Let's look at our coordinates so you can follow along with me. This is the coordinates I have. It's approximately 2.5 for the H, about 9, and about 17. So you can input. In fact, let me do that. I'm just going to input these. So you can input the same values. Okay, so render this, or not, pardon me, just let me get a quick render of this. And all right, so that looks pretty cool. All right, I'm okay with that. Now, let's talk about the physical renderer, in which we can get a lot more realistic renders, and also make our life easier when we're rendering complex objects. So in the render settings, we're here at standard. I don't have global illumination enabled. Hit the drop down menu for standard and choose physical, and the physical tab will appear here. It'll probably well, let me show you. It'll probably default to what's called progressive as samples. So let me just demo that. It'll just be easier if I do it and I can explain it. Okay, so I got physical, and the sampler is at progressive. Okay, so let me hit the to render this, and now in the lower left, if you look in your screen, you're going to see progressive pass 4, 5, 6, and so on and so on and so on. So what's happening is this is making passes and calculating the light and shadow, per pass. And you can see it's been running for some time, and we're at 24, and this bar hasn't even begun to fill up. So this is going to, if you have a lot of free time on your hands. Here's the bar is starting to load. This will take a really long time to render. Now, will it ultimately render the very best render that you can get out of this? Yeah, maybe, but the thing is, it's not efficient at all. In other words, we could wait 24 hours and get a picture, get a render. Well, we can change some settings and maybe we can get the exact same quality render in only an hour or less. All right. So, but progressive is good to see the change in quality of the image as this goes on. So it's kind of nice to just check to where your progress is. So let's go back up to render settings again. And so I'm on physical. Okay, don't use progressive, don't ever use fixed, but adaptive is where you want to be. Okay, so choose adaptive. Now sampling quality, high, medium, whatever. Make your life easy, choose automatic. What this automatic will do is the simple surfaces, for example black areas that don't need to be rendered pixel by pixel, Cinema 4D will figure that out. The complicated stuff like the reflective surfaces and so on, it'll spend more time rendering those. Okay, now a big deal when you choose automatic, a big deal is a shading error threshold. The higher this number, the worse your render is going to be. So if I put this at 100%, I would tell Cinema 4D, I don't care at all about how much noise you put in the shadows. Okay, so you're going to get a really junky render. If you go too low, this is going to take forever and ever, and the quality of your render isn't really going to change. So a good rule of thumb is about 10, maybe. Okay, I wouldn't, for this course, I would not go under 10. So what do we got here? Okay, so let's. I'm going to intentionally leave global illumination disabled. All right. Do a render of this thing. And you can see that looks pretty, you probably can't see it on the screen, but on my screen I'm seeing a lot more subtlety and detail, okay, and it's looking good. Now if you look at this, it's really dark though, so what the heck is going on with that? When we're using remember our illumination has come from the sky object, right? So let's enable global illumination, and there should be a dramatic change here. It's going to take longer. So let me close this and I'll render this. It shouldn't take too long with something as simple as this. And it's looking good. Okay, so what I want you to do is that with physical renderer, global illumination. Let me bring this up again. Physical render at adaptive automatic. Whoops, somehow that went back to 20%. How did that happen? I don't know. Let's change it to 10. I don't know what the hell happened there. Pardon my French. 10% and global illumination enabled. Render this out to the picture viewer, and I'll just pause the video and I'll come back when this is rendered. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so this is the render. Okay, so you'll go File, Save As, and JPEG is good, 72 DPI is good. You should have the same render settings. It should be at HD, high definition aspect ratio. Click OK, and we're back here in our same thing. Instead of calling this sun sky exercise, let's call it sun sky physical. Okay, and then put your name in there. So this is the second JPEG you're going to be uploading for this exercise. Make sure that you got the file names correct. This was sun sky physical. Save that, and you'll upload it along with your sun sky exercise, your name. Okay, so 2 different JPEGs, 2 different file names. All right, so I'm not going to save this. I'm going to cancel this. I want to show you. Earlier, I made some other renders here of. This is the standard, using a standard renderer, okay, and then this is the physical renderer without global illumination, and this is the physical render with global illumination. So you see there's a really marked uptick in quality between this. This is like very hard. This is the standard renderer. Looks okay, very harsh edges and so on. Physical render with global illumination in the physical sky, you get this, so it's a much more refined render. So what I would suggest going forward with your cityscape project is consider using the physical sky and the physical renderer with global illumination.